Rockdown, rockdown, down memory lane. Rockdown, rockdown, see those guys again. Rockdown.
Hi, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. In the world of entertainment, there aren't many people who can say they've done it all. But my next guest has almost done it all. Would you please welcome Debra Byrne?
Thank
Hey,
you,
Deb.
Marla, darling. How are you?
Well, you have. You've done so much. You started off on Young Talent Time,
Yep.
although you actually really started a long time before that.
I did. I sang in pubs with my dad,
Yeah.
and I sang on a show called Brian and the Juniors, which was a big hit. It was like, I think it ran for 14 years, and I was in the last year of that. And in fact, the 6 original kids from Young Talent Time were all from Brian and the Juniors, so we'd all worked together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for at least that last year, and somehow we all, ended up on the next big thing for kids. So it was great.
So in actual fact, Young Talent Time wasn't really your debut on television. It was
No, but that, Young Talent Time was
huge.
It was huge. It was huge. And Brian the Juniors was cute.
Yeah.
And had been running for a long time. But I don't even know if it went to Sydney. I think it was just a Melbourne-based thing. I'm really no idea. I was 10 years old and got $10 a week, and you had to buy your own costumes. So didn't seem like a big career moment.
That's all you remember is what you had to do with the money.
I know, my mother was so cool. She'd you had to have ringlets. My mum hated ringlets. I didn't really care one way or the other. If I was singing and dancing, I didn't really care what I wore, or it's like you just want to do it. And just before they'd start taping, my mum would race over. Come here. She'd brush my hair out.
Brush the ringlets out.
And I'd sort of end up with this sort of like zing. I'm not sure what looked worse, but she just hated the idea of us all looking carbon copy.
Well, I applaud your mother actually.
Yeah, no,
because
so do I. I think it's really.
I think it's great.
Yeah, she wasn't a stage mother, but in a way she actually was, because she was really fighting for a person's individuality, and so I thank her for that, because she was, she was quite an individual herself. So that obviously was something that was really important to her. Yeah.
So, how old were you when you joined Young Talent Time?
Well, if you ask Johnny Young, he says something. If you ask me, I'll tell you. I was just turning 13. Yeah. So, it was an extraordinary way to become a teenager, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say, how hard was it? I mean, obviously, all over Australia, every kid watched Young Talent Time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every kid watched Young Talent Time. And almost overnight, the 6 kids, and you were kids.
Yeah, we were just kids.
Became stars.
Yeah.
So, on one hand, you were idolised. There must have been a flip side as well.
Oh, absolutely.
How hard was it?
Really hard. It was actually really hard. It was very hard to know when you could talk about something and then you weren't going to get kind of stoned for bragging.
That's right. School friends especially.
Or when you just shouldn't say anything. And it was very confusing. But, when we were there doing it, it was great. And that became so much part of our lives anyway, when we were just learning the show, because we worked ridiculously hard. We were there every night, and often on weekends. We'd get home from school, I'd catch the bus into Latrobe Street and start work at about 5, I think. Must have been about 5, and we'd go till sometimes 11 o'clock at night. Social welfare didn't know about that, but that was things weren't.
That was what you did.
Things weren't policed nearly as much as they are now. When we go into the recording studios, which was usually Wednesday night to record a lot of the vocals, sometimes we'd be there till like ridiculous hours. Very patient parents, very patient parents. Would just sit there, and a lot of the mums would knit and they'd talk. And my mum, on the other hand, wasn't like that. She'd sort of fly in, at the last minute in her grandpa t-shirt and jeans, and sort of walk in the room braless. oh, good, you're done. Come on,
Get you out of there.
get home to the other 5 kids.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. She
Yeah.
had 5 kids to look after as well.
Yeah.
Virtually, when you spend that much time doing a show, and as you said, like, you don't know with your friends. I sort of had a
Yeah.
similar, not in the public eye, but theatre background.
Yeah.
And you did pay a price in as much as you would never really know, as you said, when you could talk about what you did at school, because you, as you said, you were like a show off, or
That's right.
you're bragging,
That's
or you think
exactly
you're
right.
better, and on the other hand, then you've got all of the kids running up to you, wanting to know
about it.
to know you.
Yeah. Or then you'd have the thing of, on the show, we were dressed in clothes that my younger sister was wearing. It was ridiculous. So sometimes the sleeves, I remember, they were so tight because that
Trying to make you look young.
trying to make us look cute. So rather than just put us in a simple dress, they'd put us in this something. Well, I think our clothing came from Walton's, which is long gone, Walton's, and then it was Myers Children's Department. Well, when you're 14, 15, you can't wear some of those clothes, So you'd be standing there with these puff sleeves and this tight elastic, and your hands would start doing that funny shake thing. Because it started
The
to
circulation.
hurt.
The circulation's cut.
It would actually start to hurt, and it was ridiculous. And
So virtually, in situations like that, being on telly, being at the studio, is much more comfortable part of your life than being out in the real world.
Absolutely, because you'd get to school, and I remember one particular time I had to be an emu. And I was really, really good. That's the thing, it's like when you're an entertainer, it doesn't matter what you're asked to do, even if you feel like an absolute jerk,
You do
you
it.
do the best you can do. So if I was an emu, I was going to be
a really good one.
emu. I got to school, and I was in secondary school then, and we're talking Thornbury, Northcote. You had to be cool, and it was, skinhead territory, and it was pretty rough. So get to school, I'd saw you, and it was horrible. Just like you'd want to die. So what I would do, I'd go, yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
Well, you had to toughen up.
So I had to become I had to like trivialise what I was doing, and I had to make fun of myself and not
Show.
not be proud of what I was doing. I had to do the opposite, and that actually becomes kind
Very
of
tough.
habit forming.
Very tough.
Too. It becomes habit forming too. It's like you can't say, yeah, no,
So
that
you
was
build
really
up
good.
a veneer,
Yeah, you
basically.
do.
You build up
yeah.
a veneer.
Yeah.
So when you left Young Talent Time, going out into the big world, obviously you recorded. You were Queen of Pop
Yeah.
twice.
Twice.
Don't laugh. See,
No,
you're trivialising. That's a big thing.
Well, see, as I got older, I thought it was extraordinary on the night, but when you're off Young Talent Time and you've got Sherbet there and you've got all these,
John
Renee
Paul,
Gayer,
yeah.
and all these people around you who really are more the pop industry, and you're just this, 15, 16-year-old, I must have been 15 when I first won it, and they all go off to the after party
And
of
you're
the
not
Pop
allowed to.
Awards, and I go home, and I'm the one with the crown. It's like, I don't even know my peers. I don't even know what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
So when I say I was a queen of pop, to me it was ridiculous.
But eventually you did find out what's going on, and we're going to a short break. We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest is Debra Byrne. Deb.
Yes, darling.
Stop. Yes, darling. Okay. You leave Young Talent Time. Growing up, Farnham and Byrne.
Yeah.
Channel 2.
Absolutely.
A great series that went for how long? A couple of years? Or?
No, see, that's it. Isn't television amazing? It was a 7-week episode. 7 weeks, that's all it did, and it never got replayed. And yet, people to this day remember it. And they not just remember that the show happened, but they'll tell me oh, and you did this. And I think, my goodness, I don't believe this. But I mean, Asha was 6 months old. She's 28.
Let's talk about the book, because this is your life story. What took you so long?
Oh,
No, I don't mean the actual writing process. I mean
to write it.
to decide that it was time to.
I'm not sure I actually did decide that it was time to do it. I think that my literary agent, Deb Callahan, had been stalking me for 7 years to do this.
That's right. People were at you to do it.
And I had come to a time in my life where things that I thought that I'd sorted out.
Issues.
Yeah, it was quite clear that I hadn't. What I'd done is that I'd sort of put them in a nice, clever box. But then I began to have very bad anxiety attacks. I mean, you've been there and helped me through a couple of them. And I went back to, well, actually, Gary McDonald put me onto cognitive therapy. And through the therapy, I started to realise that no, I hadn't.
Because he suffered, Gary McDonald,
Yeah.
Norman Gunston.
Yeah. Very bad anxiety
He had
and
very
depression.
bad depression, didn't he?
I'd already begun kind of writing it, but it was then that I thought, no, this stuff was coming out of me at such a rapid rate. And what I'd already begun to write, I pretty much put it to the side, because I was writing the version of my life that I'd learnt to create so that I could live.
The veneer.
Yeah.
Back to the veneer.
I had written the veneer version of it, and when I started doing the therapy, it became the real version of my life. The same story, but not trivialised, and the same story, but, you know, once upon a time I would have said, and when that happened, yeah, it wasn't very nice. Well, while I was having therapy, I'd go back and I'd go, well, actually, when that happened, it was disgusting. I started to see things as they truly were, but I started to deal with how things truly were, and the book has been one of the most therapeutic tools I've ever experienced. It's just been the best thing for me.
It really is.
I did pay a price for it too, but, you know, it's been a really...
What do you mean?
Well, just, you know, with family, not all family are, you know, happy when you tell the truth. They don't. Some people either don't like the truth that you've got, because everybody's truth is different, because everybody's experience of life is different. Even, you know, if you've got 8 people living in the one house, everybody's going to have
a different
different life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that was kind of difficult.
And that's tough too, isn't it?
It's really tough. It's
have
really
your family
turn on you. Yeah. Well, not turn on you, but turn away from you. Yeah, it is hard. But that's also part of becoming who you are and healing. And sometimes you have to pay those prices to do it. And I have no regrets about anything that I've said in the book, and that's because I've come to terms with those things, and they're not haunting me now. No, that stuff doesn't
You've got
haunt
it
me.
out.
I've got it out, but I got the real version out, and that's why it's fixed. Because you do these band-aid jobs all the time, you know, you just keep covering it up, and it doesn't hurt, but it festers, and eventually you've got to rip it all up and go in and pull it out.
And also, in a way, this book is your way of putting it out there, your story, because over the years, so many things, especially with media,
Oh yeah.
you've been taken for a bit of a ride, haven't you?
Yeah, and also I felt that I was paying, I was sort of being judged without people understanding the full story.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. And
Because in the media, you know, they'll get a sensational, you know, what they want is the cover story.
That's right.
And it's so, I mean, I don't know why I buy things half the time, because I look at the front page and I think, I know that's going to be absolute rubbish.
Yeah, yeah.
And you read it and it is absolute rubbish. However, a lot of people believe it.
It's titillation. It's horrible.
So
Yeah.
you were judged by
Yes.
that very...
That's right. I mean, even though it was based on the truth, if you don't have the full history of who an individual is, then how can you form an opinion about why they're behaving that way? I mean, if you look at Britney Spears, all we know about Britney Spears is that she's been an incredibly intelligent and talented child who grew up to be a more talented teenager, adult, but we don't know a thing about who she truly is. All we know is what we see and her talent.
And now all we know is about her being rushed off to hospital.
Yeah, but that's we have no idea who she is. We don't know how she feels about anything, and all we ever know about her is that she seems to really love to sing and dance.
And that's what gets you through half the time. I mean,
that's right.
The singing,
that's
the
right.
theatre, the
it
movies,
is
the
escapism.
television. That's where you can actually just really
Absolutely.
relax back and do what you love. We'll take a short break.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest is Debra Byrne. Now, we've been through the book,
Yes.
Young Talent Time, all the early years, and that. Let's talk about all the fabulous musical things that you're doing at the moment.
I'm having this sort of this new life in theatre, which I'm really enjoying because it's not 8 shows a week for months on end, which I don't think I really ever want to go back to doing because I have a really good life and I have...
It's hard, isn't it?
It's
8
hard.
shows a
It's
week.
really hard work, and really all your day is preparing your energy for the night's work. And I have a daughter who's turning 8, and I have 2 grandsons in my care who are 3 and 1. So, I need my energy for quite a few things, and I don't really want to give up that time all the time, But it's nice to be able to do these nice stints, And you work with the production company, and you work with Roger Hodgman. He's a beautiful director, fantastic. You have 2 weeks rehearsal, 2 weeks to learn something that often takes 6 to 8. So you have to be on your mark. You
have to know it virtually before you go in.
But there's no time for mucking around. There's no time for diva dramas, and it's just get in there and work really hard. And I like working like that because I think it brings out the real best in you, and you learn to economise and create really quickly.
So last year you were in Little Me, which was
that was
absolutely
fabulous.
Brilliant. That was fantastic.
I had boobies out to here, Wendy. It was just joy. In fact, my battery packs for my microphone were inside my breasts. Well, not my breasts, but the breasts they created for me.
The breasts they created for you.
Because my character's called
How
Belle
good of them.
Poitrine, which means, great boobies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Belle Poitrine.
Oh.
So anyway, I did Follies. The time before that, I did Thoroughly Modern Millie, and played this totally zany, fabulous character. And so Roger Hodgman's been really nice to me because not once have I played a role yet where I've had to cry or go mad or be even...
Do you miss it?
No, not at all. You know what I'm like. I love it. And that's great because Roger obviously saw that side of me somehow through everything else I've done. And
because everything else was very dramatic, really, that you were known.
Die, cried, killed, died, cried, killed. It's pretty horrible, really. But great shows, but, always had that kind of sad ending.
So what's coming up this year, Follies?
Follies, which is Stephen Sondheim, and it is absolutely beautiful music, and the songs I get to sing are just so rich, and I play Sally Durant, and Anne Wood is also playing in it, and John Dietrich and Philip Gould. Now,
your old Young Talent Time
seriously,
partner.
I have not worked with Philip Gould, really worked for... maybe 29 years.
That'll be great.
29, 30 years since we've worked together.
That'll be great.
And, because we're like brother and sister, and it's beautiful.
Now, this is your new CD.
Yeah. It's actually
very,
not that new, but
it's very glam.
It is very glam.
And recorded with the wonderful John McCall on piano.
Absolutely.
And
just
Ross Cockle.
Piano. Yeah, Ross Cockle. I
who
love
is,
him. He's a great
one of
engineer.
Melbourne's best engineers.
He is fantastic.
We love Ross.
We do love him.
That's beautiful, Deb. So that's a selection of your favourite.
Yeah, songs that I truly
love
singing. You know me, I don't sing things I don't like.
I know.
I just can't do it.
And also your album that was out earlier, which Sleeping Child, I loved, and that was original material that you wrote with an eclectic bunch of musicians in Melbourne.
And Nashville.
Nashville.
And Paul Kelly and your other gorgeous half, Mr. Paul Norton, that wrote a lot of good songs with him. I like that, and I'm going to get back into that, I think. I'll get back into the writing. I really miss doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I love writing books. I mean, I really enjoy the process of writing. So I want to write more in all sorts of things, whether it's another book or songs or whatever. I just really enjoy that process.
Thanks, Deb.
Pleasure, mate.
See you next week.
ready.
And action.
Hi, welcome to Countdown.
Oh, can we keep that in? Let's leave it. I love it.